Hi everyone, welcome to a new video of my channel on Marloso Sports. Yeah, I'm talking again on English. It's been a while since I was speaking in this language on the channel. You know that it's usually Spanish, but I have a guest today. I think that you already know him. We already had a video together a few months ago. And again with Ivar from BadBarcaOpinions. How are you, my man?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
No, that's wonderful to have you here because this was originally like the main idea that we had from the beginning, talk about Barcelona before it was about the Euros, and that video was great. But this is like the original topic that we had in mind. So we're gonna start a little bit talking about like a general topic about the thing because the thing has started great. I think that anyone was expecting this like form from the Barca side. I think there were a few doubts because the last year with Xavi was kind of bad in terms of results. A lot of noise wasn't going around because Xavi's fireman was not that great. That topic went all out the window. Then comes Hansi Flick, and even though that he had a really good record managing Bayern Munich, his time with Germany was not that great. On your end, did you expect this form from Barcelona? Were you full confident that those will be like the results that are now, or did you had any doubts at the beginning of the season?
I didn't expect it to go this smoothly from the start. I expected him to need a little bit of time to set his style, set the tone, and so on. But I wasn't that negative compared to many others. They looked at his time at Bayern Munich and his time for Germany and straight up said that his football can translate to Barca and the current squad. But I feel many overlooked his personality and how he is as a person and a football coach. So if you look into that, you can see that he's always been very obsessed with details. And just by that, I knew he would study the profiles at his disposal and come up with a good game plan. Still, I was a little bit skeptical based on how direct his team usually is. And that was often the issue against when we had Xavi and struggled in certain games where we conceded many goals. We lacked a little bit of control, very vertical, but it wasn't within a structure. But so far, in most games, that's not been an issue. We counter press really well. There's a solid structure in place to recover the ball. And I think what he's doing right now, giving Pedri more responsibilities in deeper areas, has been essential for the Barca team.
Yeah, we'll settle in. We'll talk about like the tactical story later on. For now, we'll start to check the start of Flick's team in La Liga. Right now, they are leading La Liga. Not by that much. I think they are 4 points up Real Madrid. Real Madrid is still missing one game, the one with
Yeah.
Valencia. We have to say that these stats are great. Checking here, they are basically have a score of 3 goals per game. That's something really amazing. They have already 42 goals in the season. They seem like a more structured team, more offensive. They are more clinical. I think that we saw if we compare to Chavis that they were missing before a lot of chances, and right now it seems that everything goes in. The only thing that it seems to be a little off is sometimes their defense, even though that there has been some improvements. They are receiving basically 1 goal per game. The thing is, since they are scoring a lot of goals, you don't care about that. But what did you think compared to the start of the Liga season, comparing to last season on this one? Because I believe that there is a really huge difference, even though it's almost the same squad with some different players on some specific areas.
Well, first of all, this season we have a very clear identity, and Hansi Flick has a clear approach, which is pressing high. He sets the defensive line extremely high, regardless if it's Real Madrid or Getafe plays against. So that approach, it gives us more than it takes, in my opinion, but it also relies on quality in the final third. There will be turnovers, and we will get a lot of chances, but as you mentioned, we will also concede chances and goals. But the clear identity is something that supports us a lot.
Yeah, and also if we take a look also in Champions League, I think the the main issue that's more stands out is that the results, because one of the main problems that Xavi had with Barcelona were like in champions they were not getting the best results, even though they reached quarterfinals against PSG, and we all know how that those matches were. For example, the thing with Bayern Munich, I didn't see that Bayern always had Barca's number. I think that Barca never showing any ability to counterattack some type of scenarios, because it seemed like everything had to go perfect for them to achieve some results. And now you see this team winning against Bayern with such a great footballs, more clinical than before, with more like a strong mentality. So, do you think that this is only from Hansi Flick and his approach, or do you believe that it's something that has to do also with the players and their experience on last seasons?
I think some of the players have matured. Last season, we had Lamine Yamal and Kubarsi, who they were phenomenal, but they were still extremely young. So they're still young, but they have had one season under their belts, and that helps. I also think Hansi Flick and how he talks and addresses the players, it might give some of them even more confidence, such as Rafinha, because he talked about how he always knew he would be substituted around 60th minute, but now he is one of those players you're not going to replace during a game. If we need a goal, he will play regardless. So there are many factors to be considered, but I want to say that it's still early, and we have experienced some ups and downs recently, and that will happen again. So we have to see at the end of the season if we can maintain this form, maintain the. It's pretty much impossible to sustain the amount of goals we're scoring at least. So it's still relatively early, but the signs are good, and that's due to the structure, I think.
Yeah, talking about the structure, it's been like a big change, because for many years Barca has been playing with a 4-3-3 formation, and for a while it seemed like Barcelona was never trying to change this structure, because we have seen many coaches, have seen Tata Martino, Luis Enrique, also Valverde. Now we had recently Xavi, and it was always like the same formation. We never saw any type of changes, even though at some points it seemed like Barca was needing a change of structure or a little bit of fresh air. Now we have Flick playing with 4-2-3-1, even though sometimes you can see like a 4-3-3 structure, but it's more like at some points of the game, the main structure is 4-2-3-1. What do you think about that? Because I believe that it has changed a lot how Barca plays, and also it has allowed Flick to take out the best of some players that were basically not getting a lot of chances on the first team, or maybe they were playing but not at their full strength because they were not used to the original formation.
Yeah. First of all, it's a very fluid system, so the shapes that we are using it depends on the opponents and how they set up. So it's very flexible, and that's something I appreciate. But what Hansi Flick wants is for Barca to create those central combinations, attack through the middle, and as you say, the 4-2-3-1, you get Pedri a bit deeper in most games, at least. That's where he has been at his strongest. So he's one of the first receivers when playing out from the back. You have Casadon next to him, who just gives him the defensive balance. And at the back, I think what's very underrated and undervalued is Inigo Martinez and Kubarsi. Their ability to just hit those progressive passes through the lines and find Dani Olmo or Lewandowski lurking there. It's crucial. So with Xavi, I felt the distance between the attackers in the final third was bigger, and that required someone like when Busquets was played, he was able to distribute those passes perfectly, but without them, we just lacked the ball distributor. And now, when players stay in close proximity to each other, it's just easier to circulate the ball, maintain a rhythm, break down on the opponent. It requires quality because you play in small areas, but Barca got that quality, and Dani Olmo, perfect signing for Hansi Flick's system.
Yeah, also like one of the main things that Hansi Flick has evolved is the positioning and also the role of Rafinha on this team. Because I think that one of the main issues that Rafinha had, it was like he was having too much the ball in his feet. I mean, he's a player that likes to take quick decisions. He's not a player that will have the ball for like 5, 10, 15 seconds and think about a play to make his team score a goal. That's not the type of player Rafinha is. And at some points, it seemed like Xavi was trying to use him on that way, because you saw that Rafinha had needed to have the ball a lot of time. We know that we heard a lot of news about Rafinha not being happy with Xavi since he was always subbing him out at the 60, 70 minutes. Maybe that was one of the main reasons why Rafinha was trying like to do too much. I see that Rafinha somehow his role has been simplified because he's receiving the ball in more advanced areas where he only has to finish or to give that extra pass. And basically that has transformed his game. He's basically one of the best players in the world. He's more like polyvalent now. You can see him playing more different roles than before. Besides Rafinha, what is the other change that you think Hansi Flick has done with Barcelona, or specifically with a player that has transformed his game on this season?
I think I have to mention Lewandowski. He does not try to do things that he can't do. So he's involved in the build-ups, but more as an option to escape pressure. So plays 1-2, then runs into space. He's there with his hold-up play to be an escape when other teams are pressing high. But he doesn't try to drop deep, dictate play, distribute passes like we saw last season. He's more focused on his area of expertise, which is goal scoring. He's in the box. He's looking for crosses. He plays to his strength, and that was one of the reasons why so many lost their confidence in him last season. Was that he tried to do something that he couldn't. We tried to have a lot of the play go through him, but that didn't work. So he leaves that for the other small space players, and he focuses even more on what he's good at. So that's why he's scoring like 1 goal per game, because Hansi Flick is utilizing him correctly. So it's like two different players this season compared to last season, and we're talking about a player who is aging, like it will soon be 37 years old, and he has been so much better this season when normally players decline. So there's obviously something to do with his role and how Hansi Flick has instructed him to play.
Yeah, one of the main doubts that I have about Barca this season, it's not sure, because we have seen that some players, for example, Marc Casado, has been playing a lot this season due to the injuries that Barca had on the midfield. And it seems like he's untouchable, because I believe that he's the only defensive pivot that Barca has, because Gavi can help on defending, but he's not a defensive player exactly. He's more of a box to box type of player. He's not the one that will sit deep on the midfield just stealing some balls. That's not the role that Gavi usually has. Pedro is a more creative player. De Jong is someone that can do the job sometimes, but we know that he's not the best on his positioning defensively, and he likes to go forward with the ball. So now we are seeing that some players are coming back from injury. We're seeing Gavi. We're seeing also De Jong, since he's not fully recovered, but he's already playing. It seems that Araujo will be returning to the squad in the next few matches. Do you think that there are going to be some drastic changes on Barca's side once those players are fully fit, or do you think that Hansi Flick will stay with this same initial 11?
I think the midfield duo of Casado and Pedri could be the future, but it depends when the opponents become stronger and faster. It lacks a little bit of height and physicality, so that could be an issue. But right now, in possession, it's the best we got. Casado, he just keeps it simple, and they keep up the pace and tempo of the play. That's extremely important. With Araujo, I think he's going to be a starter. I think right now, if you've seen the recent Barca games, most teams are aware of what we struggle with, and that's runs from the deep. When opponents have their midfielders just make runs from the deep, they lose their markers and exploit space in behind. So our center backs can't pick them up because they're playing an offside trap. So the runs from the deep, it just bypasses it. At the same time, they don't have the pace to track them down. And I think Araujo could be a potential solution to that. He has the recovery pace, so he covers more ground effectively than the others. And I have a feeling that it could be essential with time for Hansi Flick and how the team is going to develop.
Yeah, I believe that if Araujo comes in like the sacrifice player, I think that will be unfortunately Inigo Martinez, because Cubarsí is the best defensive player on Barca that can like go forward with the ball, has the best passing. I believe Kunde right now is untouchable on the right flank. And Inigo, it's more that something about level and age, because even though Inigo is having a great season, I believe that he's one of the best defensive players in the world at the moment. But since his name is Inigo Martinez, no one talks about it because he doesn't have like a flashy name, or it's not like a flashy player. But I also believe that Araujo will be on the starting 11 due to his physical conditions. He's really fast. Has like this ability to be a leader on the defensive side of Barca. The only thing that I think that they will struggle is because Inigo and Cubarsí were both really good passing the ball and coming with the ball from the back. Araujo is struggling a lot with this, and we are basically not, we don't know if Araujo has improved this because he has been injured for so long. So not sure how Flick will address this, because not sure if Araujo comes into the starting 11, if that will mean like Pedri or Casado will need to go more deeper than usual to get the ball, and that can sometimes damage the rhythm and the tempo that Hansi Flick wants to provide to the team. What did you think about that?
You mentioned the thing I was about to say, that I think the solution, because I definitely agree with Araujo. You saw his abilities against PSG and how they targeted it. He's not the best with the ball, and that could be a problem because we rely on precise passing to attack through the middle. There's often little time, little space, and the pass has to be perfect to bypass both the midfield and the attack of the opponents. So what you said about Casado and Pedri dropping deeper, I think that's going to be what Hansi Flick does.
Yeah, and also like one more question that I had, because we are seeing like basically this team is playing great, even though the last few results maybe in La Liga were not the best, because maybe we can have this as just a little more of mistakes, because for example the game against Celta, even though Kunde had that big mistake, I believe that the issue was deeper than that, since Casado was out of the game on some part of the second half, and you can rely that on inexperience of the squad because the squad is really young. But even though we're seeing a lot of great playing at Barca and some players are having basically the best season of their careers, I do think that there are some players that are kind of struggling to keep up the pace with the rest of the team. If you had to think about at least two players that have been kind of disappointing for Barcelona this season, who do you think those two players will be?
I think first player that comes to mind is Frankie de Jong. Obviously, he's been injured for a while, but I still expect more, and he's definitely not a starter as of now. The second goal we conceded against Celta Vigo, I felt he could have done better, and he came on with fresh feet. He could have stayed closer to Fort, who was left on the ground due to faint in the box. So I think I expect more from Frankie. It was great against Real Madrid, pretty much just changed the entire flow of the game. But other than that, he struggled. And the second player, I think, has to be Gerard Martin, but obviously he doesn't come with the same expectations. Still, he just seems stiff and not a friend with the ball. With that said, it was better yesterday. That was best game so far. So I think Flick sees something in him, some potential, and his style matches the system he wants to run. But so far, he's not lived up to, or it's not just not been that type of left back we require when Balde is gone.
Yeah, I do think about Gerard Martin that I see him more as a defensive type of fullback because I believe that in 1v1 situations he's not bad. He's really good. But yeah, with the ball, is not at his best. And we have to keep in mind that it's already Kunde on the right side. That even though he has progressed a lot on the offensive side, his strong suit is defending. So if you have two fullbacks that are good on the same thing, the thing gets a little bit disbalanced at some point. And I believe that with Gerard Martin, it happens that when he tries to go forward, he doesn't take the best decisions, and also his quality on the ball, he's not the best. About the players, I was thinking also about Frankie de Jong because I was expecting a lot of things about him because, for example, when he played at Ajax, his best version actually, he was playing in a double pivot also. And I was expecting that since he will be in a more similar structure, he will flourish a lot, and will be better. I know that he's not 100% recovered from his injury. At this point, not sure if it's something physical or something mental, since he has explained on recent interviews that he's kind of afraid sometimes to go for the ball and tackle because he feels like he will get injured again, and that's a major setback for any type of player. But even though Frankie de Jong with the ball, he's been great sometimes, but I see him kind of inconsistent. Like he's trying to do too much. Before he was trying to play like more simple and was trying to focus on his strengths, but now sometimes I see that he doesn't pass the ball that quick. Sometimes he has some kind of weird turnovers that it's more about pressure, like trying to show more that he can at this point. And for example, the pressure is on him because you see that Casado has been coming from Barça B and now is the main starter. And I don't think that De Jong has the level right now to overtake about Casado's spot. Pedri has been probably the best player of Barcelona in the midfield. So, yeah, Ibar, thank you so much for being with me here in this episode.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Perfect, guys. So that will be all for now. Thank you so much for all the people that was here at the end of the episode. I will leave the link of the accounts of Ivar from BadBarcaOpinions so you can take a look at it. And yeah, that will be all for now, guys. See you in the next one.